So the next step after this would be to take our animation and to make our animation a little bit more fluid. Like for example, this right here, she could use a bit of an anticipation before she aims back, right? So maybe I'll create an F6 right here, and I'll lean her forward a little, like that. Forward, and then she'll go back. But I'll take that backwards, and I'll Alt-drag it to copy it, and I'll take the original one, and maybe I'll lean her forward. That way, she goes forward, forward, back, like that, see? I'm actually using simple animation to give it squash and settle. Squash and settle, I mean anticipation and settle. Bam. Bam. And it looks like her feet jump a little right here, so I'm going to move her over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like 5 was the trick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. And then when she hits the back pose, she needs to settle. So I'll create one more keyframe and lean her forward a little. That way she settles. See that? So I actually have a little animation of her, oh god, leaning back. I'm going to turn off Pinkie Pie hitting her in the face. Right? Okay. And I would do that for the entire rest of the animation. So by this point I should have already gone through and drawn all my other poses so they were proportionally accurate. Now I would go through the entire animation and time everything out. I've got my poses, now I'm going to go ahead and kind of rough animate it like we did with the smiley and get the timing right. So that way I have the timing done, I know exactly how many frames my animation is supposed to be, blah 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 blah. So let's just say theoretically that my animation came out to exactly 48 frames. I've got all my timing down, everything looks delicious and beautiful. Let me go ahead and just take a quick 10 minutes, and even though these other drawings aren't proportionally accurate, I'm going to at least use them. So Pinkie here, for example, she goes bam bam and hits her, and then this is going to go empty, because it's going to swap over to that, bam, bam, and then it bounces away. So let me at least go ahead and time this out. Let's just pretend that the drawings are proportionally accurate. So right away, it kind of doesn't look right. Pinkie Pie comes in a little too late, in my opinion. I'm going to take Pinkie Pie's keyframes here, so these two, and I'm going to move them forward 2, move this one forward 2, that way she enters faster, like that. And it times into her movement. But that means that Rainbow Dash should not settle back. She doesn't have time to settle. Pinkie Pie's about to hit her in the face. So I'm going to hit Shift F6 and clear this keyframe. So bam, bam, bam. And now she's going to hit her in the face and the next frame. So that these keyframes actually need to move over to here. Like that. Oh my freaking god. Well, actually, no. These ones would be 2 away, and there'd be an in-between here of her getting hit in the face. And I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to copy this one over, and I'm going to skew it over like that. Maybe stretch it up a little. And then the detailed version of her, I'll hit F7 to do a blank keyframe. And then Pinkie Pie will go F6 here, and then smack her in the face. Like that. Bam, bam, bam. See that? One thing that's bothering me is I used a different color for Rainbow Dash here. I know it doesn't really make that much of a difference, but I would like to go ahead and make Rainbow Dash the same color, so it at least feels the same. Like that. Bam, bam. Alright. Ha, ha, ha. And then this is where I would have a little fun with some comic timing. So if I make Rainbow Dash here a symbol, RD rough 03, and I already know that she's about to leap forward, right? So let's go F6, and all I'm going to do is slowly lean her back like that. And then I'm going to create a tween, classic tween, with a positive ease of 50. Actually, no, she has to come to a full stop. That means that it needs to be a positive ease of 100. That way, see that? bam, bam, and then then she'll leap forward. Blah. So this right here would go F6 and like that. Goo, goo, goo. And this one would actually be copied over here, and she'd be a little lean forward over there. That way, da 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 da, like that. And then Pinkie Pie has to smash on her as well. So this I would go Pinkie Pie, rough 01. Because if it's a symbol, that means I can do a classic tween of it. So F6, and Pinkie Pie is going to squash in and maybe stretch out a little and maybe rotate. And we go right click, classic tween, properties, 100, just to match Rainbow Dash. Bam, like that. Gah, 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 gah. Why? God, why? And then bam, and then she fwa, and Pinkie Pie would go like that, and she might squash in and stretch out a little, maybe rotate a little more up to indicate that she's leaving. She's propelling forward like that. Goo, choo, woo! And so what I'm going to do with Pinkie Pie here is I'm going to take this and maybe move it closer a little. And then I'll go F6, and she's just going to arc out. And then F7 right after that. She's gone. That's how fast she leaves. Bam! 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 So, fwa. Let me go ahead, and before I go any further, I would like to get this color to match. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. And let me just go ahead and do that for the whole thing, since I just need to get it out of the way. I like having matching colors for things I do. And Rainbow Dash is like, stupid Pinkie Pie. Hope she's dead. Do. And Pinkie Pie, Rainbow Dash has to settle now. Now, Pinkie Pie's out of the equation. She's done. Now we have to finish Rainbow Dash. So Rainbow Dash, bam, goes over a little. Phew. So she might have one more frame where she stretches out a little more. And then she's going to come back and settle. And then she's going to go back. Go back even more. And then I'm going to take this frame, I'm going to drag it over and stretch it that way. That way it seems. See? Done. Fwa. Only I want her to settle. So that means that I need to take this keyframe and go... I'm just going to copy this keyframe a whole bunch. So, done. And this is where we end, so I can just go past it a little. This is where we end, but I want it to go a little further, like that. And then we go back to the other side, and then we settle back over to here, and a little more over there, and then we stop. And then I want her to stay like that for just a couple seconds before she looks up and goes, stupid Pinkie. So let's see what this plays. Okay, looks like... doesn't feel like Pinkie Pie flies in at the right speed. And I think it's because we have her right here, then right here, and then she only moves a little bit, a smidgen. She's not timed out correctly. So the way that we would fix that is this frame right here, we're just going to take out. So Shift F5. Bam. Feels like it hits her a little faster now. Okay. Move that over so that it stays at 48 frames because that's our minimum timing. Bam, and it hits her. Ah! Kubaga! And I did all that just through little rough animations. and through the same techniques that I did with the smiley demo, just by grabbing the individual keyframes, skewing them, rotating them, and just basically timing everything out. And I was able to get a nice little rough animation for me to use. Of course, assuming that everything was drawn proportionally accurate, which I would have done that before I started animating. Okay. So any questions about what I just did to get this rough animation done? This is the kind of thing that if you turned this into me, and of course all of your rough drawing was proportionally accurate, this is the kind of thing that I would pass you off on. You would show me this and I'd go, yeah, man, that's timed out really great. You have a really great idea. You are good to move on to puppets. So any questions about this before we move on to puppets? And let's check the live stream. All right, I don't see any questions popping up on there. Anyone here at Monty? Nobody? So if I said, hey you, do this now, you could do it, right? Okay, all right, good, sweet. Then we shall move on to the crux of the matter, which is what I wanted to start with right off the bat, but I had to kind of set us up for it, and that's animating puppets.